Welcome back to Scarlet and Maize. I'm Adam.
I'm Zack.
What's up?
Hey.
Michigan 34, Nebraska 3. So I'll recap because it's the Michigan game. Everything is about Ohio State. Everything is about the game.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It feels like Christmas early that the game is coming up in 2 weeks. I'm so excited. It kind of dawned on me how close the game is.
Yeah, it dawned on me recently.
Yeah, I'm just excited. It's like I've been waiting all season, and now it's finally almost here.
Is this a new feeling for you? Like, have you been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
First time in first time in a while.
This honestly might be the first time I've ever heard a Michigan fan say that they were excited for that game in my life. Like, at least in my for as long as I can remember. That's why I was like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like I grew up excited for the game. It's been, I mean, I'll get into it. Like 2018, I was excited because I thought it was finally going to be the year. 2016, I was not. 2016, I was not confident.
2018 is when Ohio State lost to Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
After Ohio State lost to Purdue, so many people were texting me, and I was like, Ohio State's still going to win the Big Ten. Ohio State's still going to win the Big Ten. Ohio State's still going to win the Big Ten. What did they do? They won the Big Ten.
They did.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sidetracked.
But I'm excited for the game. I'll get into it more later. It's not even like a confidence that Michigan for sure is going to win, and they're going to. It's just like, well, I'll get into it later.
So there
Michigan
are stats,
34.
So there's something that's backing up this excitement other than it's just the game.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Okay.
But Michigan is now averaging 41.4 points per game, fifth most in the country.
Wow.
While giving up just 11.2 points per game, which is the best in the country. So I don't really care about their strength of schedule or lack thereof because they are destroying teams.
Yeah.
Slowly, but they're getting there. Michigan's defense, I said last week, has faced a total of 2 fourth-quarter drives with a chance to tie or take the lead. But Brian Mack on Twitter pointed out that those 2 drives gained a combined -3 yards.
Wow.
Like it just was ended. It takes longer to look like blowouts for Michigan because they're playing football kind of like Virginia plays basketball, just very slow and efficient and whatever. Yeah. Most modern football teams go fast, score a lot and whatever. But Michigan is playing really slow, really efficiently, and winning comfortably every time.
Yeah.
Because of how most teams play, it doesn't always seem comfortable to everyone, but it keeps ending up being comfortable. Even Maryland is the 1-score game, and they scored to make it a 1-score game way too late for it to even matter.
I will say, like, about the strength of schedule and, like, blowing the teams out, like we've seen it done. Like, it's not like – I feel like people are making a big deal about Michigan more than Ohio State. Both of them don't have great schedules, but Ohio State's is a little better. But I feel like people are making a big deal about it, like, oh, they don't play anybody, so they can't win the national championship. But we've seen Clemson do it.
We've seen Clemson do it in less dominant fashion.
Yeah.
We've seen them, like, the year they almost lost to Army, I think they won the national championship. Like, Army missed a field goal. I don't remember if it would have won the game or sent it to overtime. Whatever. Clemson won, and then they won the national championship. Michigan hasn't almost lost anything.
Yeah.
Especially to a crap team like Army.
Well, I do think, like, especially in college football, the best team, the team that wins the national championship isn't necessarily the team that was the best team for the most of the season. Like, the year Ohio State won the national championship, they lost to Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech really finished that year 500.
Yeah. So Michigan is undefeated, winning by an average of 30.2 points. Only Georgia and Ohio State are in the same category in terms of point differential.
Yeah.
We can talk about their schedule, how it's essentially the typical schedule no one talks about if it's an SEC team playing that schedule. But they're still winning those games the way they should be won by elite teams. Mm-hmm. So Drew Hallett pointed out that Michigan and Ohio State are the only undefeated teams who have won every game by at least a touchdown. The last time that happened was 2006, where the game was 1-2 and came right down to the wire. Ohio State winning after a legit late hit by Michigan out of bounds extended a late Ohio State drive. But that kind of goes to my point, like what I was saying earlier, that I'm not even necessarily saying Michigan will win. It's I do think they've closed the gap from years in like 2018. I'm not saying Ohio State, Michigan, it's here, but 2018, Ohio State, Michigan, I think that it's closer wherever it is on there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they won last year, so it's obviously closer.
But I said it last year. It wasn't that they won; it was how they won. It wasn't like a fluke, random.
Yeah.
The year that Jim Tressel got fired and they still barely won.
Yeah.
Brady Hoke. But
Luke Fickle.
yeah, it's gonna be an interesting battle of philosophies, I think, as much as anything else in the game.
Yeah.
Which team controls the tempo? Because if Ohio State can finish their quick drives with touchdowns, can Michigan still score touchdowns on their slower drives? Or if Michigan can get a couple stops, will Ohio State get rattled as time bleeds away because they won't get as many possessions as they're used to? Obviously, Ohio State could win, but I think the current iteration of this rivalry is very fun because it feels more like chess instead of an inevitable slaughter like it has for a while, except 2016 where Michigan got boned, or 2018 where Michigan not really, where Michigan got slaughtered, but I went into the game with actual hope at the end of the revenge tour. As it stands right now, do I think Michigan will win the game? Maybe. I don't know. But like even last year I was like, nope.
Well, you were confident, maybe not at this point in the season, but our episode before the game, you were confident. I remember that.
Yeah, I quoted Cade McNamara. I picked Michigan to win. I was not feeling good about Michigan's chances.
So you were putting a front on the camera.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, it doesn't matter who I pick. What's going to happen is going to happen. I'm going to pick my team.
Right, that's
just
fair.
Like this year, unless it's an obvious Michigan is looking like Michigan State. You know what I mean? It's not going to...
Yeah.
I got to pick my team.
I do think if we did this for the last 10 years, I think there would be
way more Ohio State.
Yeah,
and which went into the tenor of what I was saying all year of it's inevitable. There's this parasitic hope.
Yeah.
But there's like...
Yeah.
That was
it. Yeah, you never brought up that parasitic hope at all this year.
This year has just been good. Like they struggle and win by a lot.
Yeah,
and it's fine. Like
yeah,
it's just good. I obviously think Ohio State could win, but I think that this is as even as these two teams have been all season long since 2006. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, and this is why we started doing this show is Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like Big 2, Little 12 now.
Yeah.
Whatever. Pressing pause on that for a second. Michigan's defense currently ranks first nationally in scoring defense, total defense, and rushing defense, and fourth in passing defense.
Impressive.
Blake Corum is first in first downs gained, tied for first in touchdowns by running backs, tied for second in scoring, 1 point behind Michigan's kicker, third in rushing yards, fourth in carries over 20 yards, and sixth in yards from scrimmage by non-quarterbacks. He's only 30 points away from tying Michigan's scoring record currently held by 1991 Desmond Howard, who won the Heisman in 1991.
Wow.
The passing game obviously has had their struggles, especially lately, but they also haven't had to get out of it, as evidenced by how little they are throwing. Like they could have said, all right, we're going to force the issue, we're going to try to get out of it, and they just don't care. I'd like to see them connect on a few throws they've had, but they're running on third and long and getting the first down and more. I want them to start hitting those throws, but last year, weren't we all saying they need to be able to pass for a chance to beat Ohio State? And then they threw the ball like once in the entire second half and scored a touchdown every single drive. So it might be an issue. I agree. It also, I think it's only a might be, and I also think they're not far off because of ability. Like they're like a three-point shooter, a good three-point shooter in a slump. They hit one, and who knows, maybe they start hitting them regularly. But it's not like J.J. McCarthy is like... It's not like he's like Nick Sheridan or something.
I actually saw a tweet of their two stats compared through 10 games in the two seasons, and they looked almost identical.
Cade was throwing for more yards, I think, at this point in the season. But...
Well, and so J.J., through a majority of the season, was leading the nation in completion percentage.
He's had a rough few weeks.
Yeah, like he has.
But I will say
he didn't hit 50%. What was that, 2 weeks ago? He didn't even hit 50%.
I do think that he is hurt by this past week. There were drops where if the drops were caught, would put him better. But he's throwing so few that the numbers, it's easy to not look good.
I mean, but
or
the one
look
he
really
had,
good.
the one where he was below 50% was 27 attempts. That's not like a small amount.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was 13 to 27 the one game. I don't remember which game it was, but I remember looking at the stat like,
It's
wow.
even that complete 4 of them. I don't remember how many drops. I feel like drops have been an issue for a few weeks
But
too.
is it going to be something that's magically fixed against Ohio State? Is drops?
What sucks is Eric All is out for the season, the tight end. The backup Schoonmaker comes in. He got hurt. They don't know when he's coming back. And I think that was like a safety valve, and that is gone, and that's hurting him too.
Yeah. I mean, if we're making excuses right now, Ohio State was playing a walk-on wide receiver at running back last week, so
For how many carries?
one carry.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Michigan?
I don't mean out of this game. I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I mean, you dove into the game a lot, but I'm not really. I'll go there next week, but I don't really have. I mean, they played Nebraska. I don't really have much of a takeaway. Nebraska's been terrible all year. They've kind of since Scott Frost even got fired, they've surprisingly, I kind of for some reason expected them to get better after he got fired, which I think they won a game or two after that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it seems like they've gotten worse. So
They've won 2 since he got fired.
Yeah, watching the Nebraska-Illinois game, I was like, this looks like Rutgers when they first joined the Big Ten. I'm like, wow, Nebraska's terrible. So it's hard to have a takeaway from that, but yeah.
I mean, Michigan. That's mainly why I was talking more about the game,
right? Yeah,
this game.
Yeah,
but I mean, really the only thing they're dominating on defense and in the running game, and the passing game needs to get better. Probably.
I will say Michigan's defense, no doubt, it's good. It's really good. One of the best in the country. Is it what the stats are saying though? I mean, I will say they have one of the easiest schedules in the country as far as especially even the teams that they played that had the offenses that they played against. They haven't played a really good offense all year, but I do still think does that mean that that they're a terrible defense? No, I mean you still have to be a really good defense to be leading the nation in all the stats that they're leading the nation. But could it be a little deceiving? We'll find out.
I mean, they definitely will not hold Ohio State to 3 points like they held Nebraska to. That's one thing that has always confused me a little bit. Like when a good defense goes against a good offense and that offense does better than the defense is averaging, and people are like, I guess they're not that great. Well, they're playing a better team.
Right.
They're going to give up more. The offense is a factor also.
Yeah.
So I agree. Ohio State is going to blow out of the water most of the numbers that they've put. The question is going to be, are they good enough to win the game?
Yeah, the question will be, is it because it's a new defensive coordinator. I know the defense is the same system that he came from and all that, but will it be what they were last year, or will it be what they were when they had Don Brown, when they had the number 1 defense and Ohio State absolutely shredded them?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. Ohio State 56, Indiana 14.
Yeah, it was good to see. I mean, I know it was Indiana, but it was really good to see Ohio State get back on track in the run game. They changed the way they ran the ball, and I mean, once again, it was Indiana, but it worked really well. They ran a lot. They've been running a lot of zone stretch plays to the outside all season long, and they ran only 13 of those of their 40 rushes. And when they weren't running the outside zone, they were getting 9 yards a carry. And then on the zone plays, they were getting 6 yards per carry. So this was all with Henderson already being out, and then Mayan getting hurt early in the game. But then, Dalen Hayden looked good. Obviously, I don't want him to be the number 1 guy. Hopefully, I mean, so Ryan Day said today that he expects at least one of the 3 that running backs that were out or got hurt Saturday to be back this Saturday. So hopefully they'll be back. And then I think really I don't want Dalen Hayden to be the number 1 guy, but I think he can be a guy that takes number 2 carries. And then even Xavier Johnson, the 71-yard touchdown run he had wasn't a fluke. He had vision on that play. He made players miss. It wasn't like he was running through a gaping hole and just nobody was anywhere near him. He was weaving his way through the field. And on that run, Side note, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a sick pancake block and just blew this guy up. And I'm like, what can't Marvin Harrison Jr. do? What can't Xavier Johnson do? Walk-on wide receiver taking. He was lined up at running back. Also, speaking of Marvin Harrison Jr., that catch, incredible. If you haven't seen it, go look up. You probably just Google Marvin Harrison's catch versus Indiana, and it'll come right up. It's just I don't know if I've ever seen somebody do that.
If I was him, I would sit out next year and get ready for the draft.
Yeah, you hope.
Yeah.
Like him and Jackson Smith and Jigba have legit two of the most incredible catches that I've ever seen. That like watching it live, I was like, not like they caught it both of them, but they were like near the sideline. And in live time, I was like, not a chance that was caught in bounds. And even Jackson Smith and Jigba, the one I'm talking about against Nebraska in 2020, they called it incomplete on the field and then reviewed it. And now that one was, I think, slightly crazier than Marvin Harrison Jr.'s this past week, but both those are up there as like, how the heck did he even do that? But yeah, my only real takeaway is it the 26th yet?
Yeah,
I'm ready for the game, and obviously I don't want to look too far ahead. Maryland's not some chump team, like they still got to play Maryland. Michigan still got to play Illinois. Illinois is on a losing streak, but they were at one point leading the West. Now they're tied for first, but Ohio State and Michigan can't look ahead. I hope neither of them do. And at this point, like, I don't mind if Michigan loses before the game. But at this point, with all the hype and all the excitement, it makes it more fun. At this point, I want them to both be 11-0. And, yeah, but I'm excited for that game.
Yeah. This is the first game in 3 weeks that Ohio State outgained their opponent. So it's a nice bounce back for them against Indiana after they struggled to score 3 times against 1-9 Northwestern.
But that's a credit to the defense, though. Like it's a different defense than last year. I think you have to admit at this point that Ohio State has a defense now. I mean, last year, debatably, they didn't. I mean, at times it was deceitful because they would get up by so much and so fast that it was hard to keep up. But
yeah, I don't have much to add about this game. We're 1 week closer to the game. I will say it's really cool that Cameron Babb was able to score on Ohio State's second to last possession of the game in a 35-point blowout on a pass thrown by the starter, CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Who is definitely not just padding his stats trying to overtake Blake Corum.
He's not.
In Heisman voters' eyes.
You're gonna come at the Cameron Babb touchdown? He's coming at, if you don't know, I mean, it's been all over social media. He tore his ACL.
He twisted his knee a couple of times.
He's tore his ACL he's tore his right ACL twice and his left ACL twice, and he's just an incredible comeback story, and to score a touchdown was awesome, and the whole team loved it, and the whole team, like, it's just a cool story.
Including CJ Stroud, because he got one more touchdown.
Yeah, sure.
In garbage time to add to his stats.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Scarlett and May's picks standings. I earned a percent back, so 76.4%. You're 79%.
Wow.
I'm just running out of time. But whatever. Viewer questions. What needs to happen for Michigan and Ohio State to both make the playoff? Ohio State is 2, Michigan is 3, Tennessee was 5, LSU was 6, right?
Yep.
USC I don't
7.
think it's going to happen. I think there's going to be 2 SEC teams, point blank, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's going to be 2 SEC teams regardless of what happens. So Clemson would have to lose, TCU would have to lose, USC would have to lose.
Yeah, I think there's a really slim chance of like one scenario where it happens, and I think even North Carolina would have to drop a game as well when them and Clemson don't play anybody good left, and then they play each other, and I think for Ohio State and Michigan both to get in, I think the ACC would have to have a 2-loss champion. The USC would have to lose. That would be then a Pac-12 2-loss champion. And then TCU would also have to lose.
It's honestly just so frustrating to me that I don't care if the SEC is the best conference. I don't care if they have the 4 best teams. The playoff should not be the 4 best teams from one conference.
Right.
Why even have the season? Why even have the conference? Why even have a conference championship then? It's stupid.
There is a legit scenario where I think that there would be an argument for there to be 3 SEC teams in the playoff where LSU wins the SEC championship.
I feel like that's as likely as Michigan and Ohio
Right,
State.
yeah, it honestly is. If LSU wins out, they got A&M left, and whoever Cupcake they play this weekend, because the SEC plays Cupcake weekends.
The Citadel.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So that they have, if they can somehow, I mean, I think the hardest part of this scenario would obviously be them beating Georgia, and I don't think they will. But if they somehow pulled off that miracle, they got whooped by Tennessee at home. So, like, how do you navigate that? But then if SEC is the best conference, how do you leave out the champion? But then how do you leave out Georgia, who has one loss and beat Tennessee and lost to LSU in the SEC championship? There would be a legit argument for 3. This is not my opinion. This is like this would be the argument to have 3.
Just the sad reality of things.
Yeah.
No, I'm just annoyed that it's the. I said it right before we started recording. It's like the best of the SEC versus the best of the country. It seems like that's the setup going in.
Yeah.
Just like A&M is considered a good win on some teams' resumes because they started ranked high.
Right.
Every team in the SEC starts ranked, and so everyone gets ranked wins.
Yeah,
and
that's
it just
what
goes on.
Literally, Kirk Herbstreit said that about LSU. They're like, well, they got to beat Texas A&M still, and I'm like, if they don't beat Texas A&M, come on now, they should never even been in the top 10. Texas A&M's lost 6 straight games.
Anyways,
it's frustrating.
Big Ten takeaways. Iowa averaged 12.3 yards per drive, running it 45 times for 52 yards, passing for 4.1 yards per attempt, and they beat Wisconsin by 2 scores to retake control of the Big Ten West. Absolutely incredible. Just gross. Yeah. 146 yards is what they gained against Wisconsin. That's the same amount that Nebraska used to eke their way to 8 first downs and 3 total points against Michigan this week. But Iowa beat Wisconsin by 14. My takeaway is that the Big Ten West should all be replaced by the 7 best teams from the Pac-12. Michigan State can go join the AEW or something, whatever they want to do, since that would fit their culture better.
You could do the 7 best teams from the MAC, and I don't think it would be that
honestly,
worse.
It's so gross. To replace Michigan State, the Big Ten could offer Cincinnati, or maybe the best green and white team in the state of Michigan, the mighty and for sure bowling Eastern Michigan Eagles, if Cincinnati is too locked into the Big 12.
Okay. I don't have any Big Ten takeaways.
Yeah, there's not much to say right now.
What the heck?
Big 2, little 12. Rapid fire turd pile picks. Wisconsin at Nebraska. I think we're both going to pick Nebraska. Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Purdue over Northwestern.
Yep.
This is why it's so frustrating. I cannot make points up at this point.
Yeah.
Indiana at Michigan State. Michigan State. Thought about picking Indiana, but can't do it. Penn State at Rutgers. Penn State. This is the one game I have hope for. Minnesota's favored by 2.5. Iowa.
I picked Iowa as well. It's in bold there. I'm not just picking Iowa because you're picking Iowa.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
That just sucks. On to the varsity games. Ohio State favored by 27.5 at Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State's never lost to Maryland. They're not going to lose to Ohio State.
Yeah. Every single year, Maryland starts out looking okay and then completely falls apart.
Yeah.
And they look worse than the worst green and white school in the state, the under police investigation and only possibly bowling, Michigan State Spartans. Ohio State will run it up, I'm sure. C.J. Stroud will be in late in the 4th.
Goodness gracious.
Illinois is 17-point underdogs at Michigan.
If it was at Illinois, I'd be tempted to take them here, especially looking ahead to the game. But I just don't see Illinois going into the big house and getting it done. Not a chance.
What if it was against the spread? Michigan by 17 or more? Would you take Illinois? 16 or less?
It'd be tempting.
I mean, let's do it.
No.
I need to earn a point. I think Illinois' only chance is if Michigan has a really bad off day and is looking ahead to Ohio State and the officiating is 2016, the game bad. I mean, Michigan will kill them. I'm just sad Blake Corum only got 34 carries total in Michigan's 3 non-conference games. Michigan will win by 28 or more.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Game of the week, USC favored by 2.5 at UCLA.
I actually like UCLA here.
I got USC.
Well, there we go.
I picked USC to make the playoff. They're in position to make a run at it. I can't pick UCLA, even though they're at home, even though I still like Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
I got USC by 3.
I like Chip Kelly. I like the stars that UCLA's got. I like that they're at home. I got UCLA by 3.
Oof. Let's go. I can earn back 2 points here. Really quick, into some basketball. Michigan squeaked by Imani Bates. How concerned should Michigan fans be? I'm a little concerned, but it's also kind of what I was saying last week, where I think Michigan's going to be like kind of Iowa, where they'll have offense and not any defense. They need to get better.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I literally in my notes brought that up. I was just like, I think Adam was right saying their defense looks like Iowa.
Hopefully the offense can keep it up.
Yeah.
Michigan plays in Brooklyn against Pitt on Wednesday, and either VCU or Arizona State, depending on if they win and who wins. It'll be fun because VCU, if you didn't know, has Brandon Johns and Zeb Jackson, who are on Michigan, and Arizona State has Frankie Collins, who is on Michigan. I think Michigan will win them both. Mainly because both VCU and Arizona State I don't think are very good.
Right.
And Pitt is not very good. Michigan plays Ohio on Sunday night. I think that'll be another win.
Yeah.
Ohio State plays winless Eastern Illinois on Wednesday, and then San Diego State on Monday.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So, obviously Eastern Illinois, easy win there. But then going on to the Maui Invitational will be tough. San Diego State's 17th ranked in the country, and got to be a good team to be ranked, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But they did struggle at home, San Diego State, against BYU recently, and I really like the way the Buckeye team has looked so far. A team that I knew coming into the season was really talented, but wouldn't necessarily have the chemistry. That was the thing that I would at least be worried about at the beginning of the season with all the new guys coming in. But I do think the Buckeyes go to Hawaii and upset San Diego State. They will play 3 games in 3 days, depending on who wins and who loses after San Diego State. It's not entirely sure, but I would say a 2-1 trip would be successful, and really what I expect at the least. It is a talented tournament, so I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped 1. I wouldn't be super surprised if they dropped 2, but I will also be about the same surprised if they went 3-0.
These things, they tell a lot that we didn't know about each of these teams because they're so early in the season and 3 games in 3 days and all that. Ohio State plays Duke, and Michigan plays Virginia next week. I already talked about Michigan needs to fix their defense, but is there anything either of them need to fix before they head into the ACC?
Ohio State hasn't played anybody. They haven't had a close game, so it's hard to say, something specific that they need to work on. I just like to see them continue to work on the chemistry with all the new guys and figuring out what lineups work the best with the guys they've got.
Things no one is talking about.
Ohio State is now averaging, I talked about this last week, that they were barely averaging yet less yards per carry than Michigan. They are now averaging more yards per carry on the season at 5.74, and Michigan's at 5.62. So they're basically the same, but Ohio State has significantly less carries. So
Blake Corum is higher than that, but Michigan as a team is lower.
Yeah, usually team stats matter more than individual stats, but
not when one of those peoples is the Heisman front runner. Things no one is talking about. Mr. March, Tom Izzo, is under 500 in his last 13 games in March. Maybe name change there is necessary. But at the start of their game on Tuesday on a boat for no reason against Gonzaga, I kept reading about how bad Gonzaga looked.
It wasn't for no reason, but...
Yeah, I think those games are pointless, I think
it was
stupid.
I think it is a little ridiculous, but it was for Veterans Day, but...
They could have played it on an Air Force base in a covered place.
Yeah.
Would have been fine.
I'm with you on that.
In an airplane hangar.
Wasn't pointless, but
I
do think it was a little ridiculous.
I think it was pointless to have it on a boat. On a ship.
It was Veterans Day.
I get that. That's not the only military-themed location in the world.
So you can't say it's pointless, but then there's still a point.
It's a bad point.
Fair.
Okay.
You heard it here. Adam doesn't care about veterans.
I kept reading how bad Gonzaga looked during the game, and then Gonzaga won, and then the narrative flipped to how good Michigan State actually is, or like how surprising they were, and I just don't understand that. Gonzaga looks terrible. Gonzaga looks terrible. Michigan State's pretty good after they lost to the team that looked terrible. I don't get it. Maybe they'll be good. I'm not saying this to talk trash about Michigan State. I just don't understand that narrative flip there.
As we're recording, they're in a tight one with Kentucky, so.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
We'll see. Tweet of the week.
Not on a boat.
Thank God. Tweet of the week. I'm pretty sure I talked about this last year in a tweet of the week also, but this is from Trevor Woods. Blake Corum is Heisman caliber off the field too. He's donating 300 turkeys and 300 gallons of milk to underprivileged families in Ypsilanti.
It's cool.
Yeah. What do you got?
My tweet of the week is from basically Ohio State Boba Fett. It's Buckeye Fett. And he's been my tweet of the week before. I think his profile picture is pretty cool. But the tweet is 17th 10-win season in the last 20 years, most in the country in that span. That's pretty incredible.
10 wins is big if you're Michigan State.
Yeah, if you're Michigan State. Honestly, I just couldn't come up with a tweet of the week, and I was just like, sure, that one. Didn't have a great one that stood out to me. But
well, I mean, the good news is we're 1 week closer to the game.
Yeah.
Until then, see you next time. Well, we'll see you one more time before.
Yeah.
I just mean we're getting closer. We're getting closer. See you next time. Go Blue.
Go Buckeyes.